Political storm over the impeachment inquiry of President Trump has the commander-in-chief raining down attacks on everyone, from Congress to the person who sparked it all. This is House Democrats demanded documents directly from the White House and warned the president's inner circle not to block the investigation.
KCAL9's Chris Holmstrom joins us live in studio now with the very latest. And Chris, today was the most intense day we've seen so far on both sides, right?
That's right. It has been an intense day all day. The president has been on a tirade about the impeachment probe and also the people behind it. Well, tonight his rants continued on Twitter, with his main target being the Burbank congressman who's leading the investigation, Adam Schiff. President Trump lashing out against Democrats, infuriated by the impeachment inquiry. This comes as House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and House Intelligence Committee Chairman Adam Schiff have taken off the gloves and plan on investigating the president. A scandal brought on by an unknown whistleblower.
And if you look at this, whistleblowers, which I have a lot of respect for whistleblowers, but only when they're real. His report of the phone call was totally different than the fact.
The president appeared to be unhinged and confrontational. He also spoke about a report from the New York Times. In it, it says the whistleblower got guidance from the House Intelligence Committee on how to file a complaint. The complaint highlights the president's request for the Ukraine president to investigate Joe Biden and his son Hunter. Democrats argued to uncover dirt for the 2020 election. The president used this New York Times report to attack Chairman Schiff.
Well, I think it's a scandal that he knew before. I go a step further. I think he probably helped write it. Okay? That's what the word is. And I think it's, I give a lot of respect for the New York Times for putting it out.
The president went on to say Representative Schiff should be charged with treason. But Schiff's staff says the committee followed the rules and told the whistleblower to get an attorney and file a complaint to the Inspector General. Meanwhile, Schiff says the White House can expect a subpoena soon for documents related to the Ukraine call.
We are concerned that the White House will attempt to stonewall our investigation, much as they have stonewalled other committees in the past.
Schiff says White House stonewalling will be considered obstruction of Congress.
If they are going to prevent witnesses from coming forward to testify on the allegations in the whistleblower complaint, that will create an adverse inference that those allegations are in fact correct.
We are also learning that Schiff and other Democrats say Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, who had first denied he knew anything about the call, admitted today he listened in. Today, he denied he is blocking staff from cooperating. And on Wednesday afternoon, Pompeo's own State Department Inspector General Steve Linick went to Capitol Hill to discuss and provide staff with copies of documents related to the State Department and Ukraine. But the question remains, why did President Trump bring up his political opponent, Joe Biden, and his son in the Ukraine phone call? A question that was asked repeatedly by reporters.
What did you want about Biden? What did you want him to look into on Biden?
Look, Biden and his son are stone cold crooked, and you know it. His son walks out with millions of dollars. The kid knows nothing.
At this point, the president became frustrated with the veteran White House reporter for asking his question, creating the most tense moment of the day and of the impeachment inquiry so far.
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, it was just a follow-up of what I just asked you, sir.
Listen, you ready? We have the president of Finland. Ask him a question.
I have one for him. I just wanted to follow up on the one that I asked you, which was,
did you hear
what
me?
did you want
Did you hear me?
Yes,
Ask
sir.
him a question.
I will, but
I've given you a long answer. Ask this gentleman a question. Don't be rude.
No, sir, I don't want to be rude. I just wanted you to have a chance to answer the question that I asked you.
I've answered everything. It's a whole hoax. And you know who's playing into the hoax? People like you and the fake news media that we have in this country. And I say in many cases, the corrupt media, because you're corrupt.
If the House does vote to impeach the president, the matter would be referred to the Senate. Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says what would happen at that point is not up to him.
It's a Senate rule related to impeachment that would take 67 votes to change, so I would have no choice but to take it up.
I'll make this prediction. I think they will impeach Donald Trump. And then I think there will be a quick trial in the Senate, and the Senate would never remove him from office.
I expect that the House will do its work in the next 2 or 3 months, and I hope very much that both Democratic and Republican senators will treat the evidence seriously and with an open mind.
All right, so due to concerns the president is trying to intimidate the whistleblower, Democratic lawmakers want the acting director of national intelligence to take steps to ensure his or her safety. We'll send it back to you.